Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Here comes Fudgy. So I'm home and Fudgy's pleased to have me, it would seem. He's been sticking to me like glue and the craft table is now his spot too for another scratch off the chest. Hello, Fudgy. You missed me, baby. Yeah, so I had a good trip home. The flights were great. Everything was running early. Picked up 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So that was fantastic. Remembered where I parked my car, which is always a bonus. Had a 4-hour drive home. Well, I say 4 hours, but if you don't stop, it's about 3.5 hours. So, yeah, it was probably the last hour. Started to feel a bit weary, but made it home, safe and sound. Hey, Fudge. So I'm just going to give Fudge one more scratch under the chin. Got to meet the Fudge's needs first, and then I'll show you my haul video. Got everything divided here, ready to pop away in my cupboard. So I thought before I get into that, I might as well film the video. I wasn't going to do a haul video because I thought I'd shown you pretty much everything, but there were a few things I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't show that, did I? That sort of just got dropped into the suitcase and so I raced back out the door to something else. So I thought, you know what, Fudge, we will show you what we got in Japan. Plus I got my book from this workshop here too. She only bought about 5 to the workshop, and everyone was like, oh, I'll have one. So at the end of the trip, they arrived at the hotel, the rest of everyone's books. So I haven't had a good thumb through it myself. So I want to have a look through that. You right, Fudge? Can you move on now? Oh, Fudge. Gosh, he's been like a little piece of lint stuck to my jacket. Okay, Fudgy, you look weary. Why don't you crawl into bed so we can have a little chat. There he goes. Off you go, puss puss. All right, well, we'll start with my workshop piece. So that's the piece completed. Well, technically, I do need to create the binding, which will be just turning that over and stitching it down is one option. She did give us lots of different ways we could do it, and inadvertently I actually put the background fabric on upside down. So I could actually do that and do a little binding. I'm thinking I'm going to make it into a pouch, you know, a zipper pouch, but that'll be another day and another video. There is some stitching I can still do on it in the way of machine stitching white mushrooms. Now, I did attempt it at the actual workshop, but the Janome I was on chewed the stitching, like it made a hang of a mess. So I unpicked the little mushrooms. I'm thinking I might actually hand stitch them on. So I started hand stitching in here. So yeah, I think I will continue with hand stitching. I feel like I've got a little bit more control over the piece. But what I was attempting to do were 3 abstract flowers. This one, the petals are hanging down and that's the top. And then this one as well. And then of course the big one. Yeah, I'm sure you can see that. So that's my piece. Now the book, this is her book. Let me zoom out. I'm too close, aren't I? That's the book showing her confetti quilting. And she signed it for us all, which was just lovely. So if you're interested in this technique, there she is. No, that's her mother and father. There she is. Little cutie. 85. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's going to be great to have a read. Chopping up little pieces of fabric. So she started in 1993 and she's been teaching this technique. Sort of reminds me a little bit of Monet's style of painting. I plan to explore it a little more because I was quite impressed at how something so simple a technique so simple could produce such a beautiful piece of work. When you step back from it, suddenly it just comes alive. And she encourages us to, when we see a beautiful photo in our photo file, like we've taken a landscape picture, have a look at that picture and then break it down into colour, and using her techniques, create the confetti and layer in the colour blocks to build from your picture. So, yeah, I thought that was very much something I'd like to explore a little more. Beautiful. Look at that. I'm looking up at my TV where this is projecting to, and it's even better than the view of the book here at, you know, so many centimetres, probably about 30 centimetres from my nose to the book. But as I look at that screen that you guys are looking at, those trees, wow, absolutely incredible. Let me bring the book up close so you can see the little pieces of fabric. Amazing. And then those branches, she's used the free motion sewing technique to bring in some more design elements. And of course, then as we drop the book down, wow, very clever. So in the book, she goes through preparing the fabric, and she uses a rotary cutter. That was fun to slice it all up, but I won't go into too much detail because, you know, A, it's a workshop, B, the book has it all. There are techniques out there other than hers to create, oh, look at that, create the small pieces of fabric. But, they're so willing. Like, I didn't think I'd be able to film what I did because A, it's a tour, and B, they're workshops. So there's sort of a bit of privacy there. But everyone was like, no, this is a traditional way of doing things. Please share it. We want this to continue into media that will keep it around forever. So everyone was so gracious. And Di was too. He's like, no, please show everyone what we do. Every one of his tours is slightly different. He adjusts them to suit whatever festivals are on, and contacts he's got through his mum on traditional methods. So they were, oh, so gracious. It was really good. All right, that's that. Let me just pop that to one side. Now let's just go through some of the bits and pieces. So first thing is we'll have a look at the notions. Now, I got to see Clover, and I picked up a couple toys. These here are little templates that make little flowers. You fold the fabric in half, clamp these little guys over it, stitch through the holes. Each hole is numbered, so you just follow, you know, 1 to 2, 3 to 4. And then when it's removed, you have created little petal. I've seen them before on YouTube, and I thought, you know, I'm going to have a play with those. So, yeah, they'll pop up in the future somewhere. Very clever. I picked up one of these little Clover cutting rings. You often see Jennifer Clouston use those in her videos. So I'm looking forward to having a play with that. Japan is just known for its gadgets. This little guy, it's so cute. It's a little thimble with an itty-bitty pin cushion in. Slides over your finger, so when you're on the sewing machine, you can, you know, pop your pins into it, which I think is just fantastic. I got 2 of these and some refills because I guarantee I'll lose one of the pens. This is white chalk pencil, and you have the little refills. So these are in Australia, but they're often sold out. It's just hard to keep up with, you know, refilling stock at times in some of the stores. So to see it, I grabbed it. 2 different locations, and I think 2 different prices. I can't remember prices now. It's all gone out the head now. Hey, Fudgy. Gorgeous little pin cushion. These were around the place in most of the stores, but it was the only one I saw in this pink that I thought was really sweet. can never have enough pin cushions. And the fact that it's got a nice hard little base is great because my needles won't disappear. So that's now sitting in somewhere in my room. What else can I show you? So that's all the gadgets. This is the lace. Most of these you've seen. Now remember I had in mind products, colours, trims that suit two projects coming up, my Just Because Quilt Japan and my gathered pieces with the Roxy Journal of Stitchery project that's coming up for the second half of this year. And that is going to be all in those Liberty blues. It's going to feature fine embroidery of plants. So in my little box of tricks for that project, I've got sitting one of the British Field Notes books that goes through all the plants that you would find in the fields. And I've always wanted to, you know, stitch that finer detail. I really enjoyed the stitching I did with Nikki Franklin. I bought a few of her kits and I haven't done that finer detail, you know, just tone it down a bit, not so chunky, for a little while. So that's sort of where I'm heading with the next Roxy project. Whether it continues like that, I don't know. I try and keep myself in a style. Colour palette's easy. Once I pick a colour palette, I'm away. But to adapt a style that is a little bit different to what you would normally do, that can be a challenge to stay within it. So there's some little trims that I sort of selected. See that little style of stitching. So I thought I had more of those. There must be more. Maybe I didn't. Oh well, that's oodles anyway. Goodness. That was a little pin cushion that we were gifted in our workshop. Great for when I was on the sewing machine. I was able to slide the pins into it. So another handy little gadget. I'll keep that actually with my sewing machine because, yeah, when I had everything pinned and I was free motion sewing, just to be able to take the pin out, very clever. That was like a little crocheted trim, very sweet. Once again, fine. These were really cool. Remember the video where I took you to the craft fair and there was the bunting hanging? I definitely have some missing lace because I went back and bought meterage of this. I wonder where that is. I better go through my packaging. Maybe I've misplaced a little parcel. Yeah, there you go. Well, it hangs down. Let's show you this. It hangs down in the air, but it actually goes up. Looks like a fish. It's like coral. I got fish on the brain too. It's good when you remove yourself from your space and you sort of got nothing in front of you other than just like an airplane seat, and you just start thinking about stitching and topics and projects. And I had some notes going in my phone and I've come up with a few ideas that I want to do in future videos, and it was so good just to, I guess, clear the mind. Aren't they gorgeous? Real abstract. So those little ones are part of the up and coming Roxy. All right, so let's put the trim to one side. Okay, this is my little William Morris bag that you saw that I picked up one evening in a little craft store that was in an arcade. Now in here I've got my Sashiko threads. So pleased with the pricing. Really, really good. Some of them are only $1. $3 was the max. So I splurged and bought some colours. Now normally I just pick up the cream, but a lot of the Sashiko stitching was starting to bring colour into the prints and variegated threads. So I took the opportunity to build a bit of a colour palette that I can dip into. Not sure if all those colours will appear in my Just Because quilt. We'll see how the fabrics go. These were two little bias bindings. I thought they were Liberty, but I'm not convinced. I think they're just little florals, to be honest. The word Liberty is nowhere to be seen, so I'm going to take that as a sign. One of the stores we went to had 50% off all of their straps, handles and things like that. Now, I thought, wow, that's a sign. And they had some interesting ones, and they're really easy to apply. I don't know if you can see, there's little teeth in there. Let me bring it up to the camera. See, there's sharp little teeth. They grip into the fabric and you just pinch it closed. I thought, how easy is that? So I did get sets of 2. Of a few of them. Love that. And I think this flower was sticking in my mind a little bit because a couple of days later I saw this and I thought, you know, I could make a pouch that has a strap with that flower and then make some of these to embellish it. So I thought, well, there's a project. That's just a nice brown strap. This is a little one. Even if it's a little pouch and there's one little strap on the side, and that would give me 2 straps, 2 pouches. That one was a beauty. They had quite a range there, but it was probably the only colour that sort of resonated with me. So they've machine embroidered on the strap, which I thought was a clever idea too. Get the sewing machine out. They can do these tricky little stitches, create your own strap, and then run the sewing machine decorative stitch along the top of it. Well, that was really sweet. So I've got myself a little stash of straps. What else is next? I'll show you kits next. So with the kit in mind, with the Just Because Japanese quilt kit in mind, I picked up these. Now, this is where I started to see, this is like a boutique craft shop that sold nothing but kits, cross-stitch, tapestry, sashiko, tatting, crocheting, knitting. So, and it was like a little corner in a very high-end department store. This is where I started to see the use of colour in a lot of sashiko. And that's the palette. It's so pretty. And I really like this print because we've got the traditional squares of sashiko, which you know, see. But then in comes this circle with little elements within it. Just very inspirational. Even if I don't use the fabric immediately, just that just makes me think outside the box. And this one is like a crazy quilt version of sashiko. Very different, because what you traditionally see are these, you know, just that classic printed on fabric, probably about 35 centimetres square. Little birds. That one there, very clever, sort of cobblestoning together the sashiko. Because before I saw this effect, in my head I was just going to buy things that sort of could be cut out, stitched into my quilt, and then we stitch that. And then as soon as I saw these, I was like, that's what I had in my head, except this is, you know, probably got more design element than what was in my head, especially this one. Hadn't even pictured circles yet. I got sort of to this, probably not as wedgy triangular. I definitely got to that. And then dead set the next day, I come across those. So I was like, excellent, because I was going to mush it together myself with those. And then they started popping up. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Because I do have stencils, so I knew I could create some of these images as well. So that's what I got in the way of kits. Threw in the 2 pinks just as a wild card. Put that to one side. This was a little kit we got in a class at the store where all of the handles were. And of course, I started it, and then they said, oh, if people know what this is about and want to go and start shopping, feel free. And literally it got dropped and I took off. So I've got this little guy up my sleeve, and what I liked about this is the colour and then variegated thread. So it was so good just to immerse yourself in new ideas. And maybe these are around already on YouTube, possibly. You know, you just cannot watch in a day enough YouTube to be across everything that's out there. So to have a turquoise piece of fabric come to me with variegated threads just sort of took my mind in another direction, which was great. I think if I hadn't have gone to Japan, my Just Because quilt would have been all navies with the white. I wouldn't have probably played as much, is what I'm sort of thinking. All right, let's pop that away. What was that? That must be the little pattern. They were making coasters out of them. Somewhere to put your drink, which is a clever little idea. Once you've got your piece stitched, the second piece goes on the back, stitch around, turn it the right side's back out. I've got some electricians here, so if you can hear a drilling sound, we're putting in an external power point for us. Something we neglected to think about when you build a house was a power point outside. So they've popped back to do that for us. Okay. So that's the Sashiko kits. What should I show you next? Oh, the strawberry kit. Oh, look, I paid way too much money for this, but oh my gosh, it was just adorable. This was the garland of strawberries, and see the little lace leaves. Oh my goodness, little beads, little flowers, tiny rickrack, and then some nice strawberry coloured fabrics to make this itty bitty garland of strawberries and the little flowers that go with the strawberries. I just thought it was adorable. Their stall at the craft fair, I think it was the second last video. Oh, there was so much stuff there that was just adorable. I could have spent a fortune, but the kits were up there in price. I think this, yeah, here we go, $31 for an itty bitty piece of leather with some little strawberries on it, but oh, it was a treat. Oh my goodness, how we justify it. The owl. Remember I pointed him out sitting on the shelf? I just thought he was adorable. And I can just see his feathers stitched with little flowers, and yeah, I plan on making him. What I thought I might do with this little guy, I don't know, it's plastic looking things. They must be the weight. I don't like the idea of those. I'd rather use a natural product than little beads of plastic. What I thought I might do with that is actually pop it in the caravan. So when we go away for a camping trip, he'll be sitting there waiting for me. So a nice little surprise to have in the van. I'm hoping to do a trip in the next few weeks. Everything got cancelled due to the rain we're having in Queensland. Terribly sad. Fabric. When I unpacked it, I actually didn't have as much as I thought. It felt like I had heaps, but No, I didn't. This was a panel with a bunny on it. Absolutely gorgeous. This I had in mind for my gathered things, because it's not only going to be wildflowers that you would expect to see walking through the fields in England, there's going to be bunnies as well. Whether he's too big, possibly. Whether he's too Japanese looking, possibly. But I thought maybe to bring him into that piece, embroidering all through him, like put little wildflowers all over his tummy and sort of tone him down to suit the actual piece that we're doing. Then I saw the owl too, and I thought, you know what, I better get him too. There's an owl there and an owl there. Let me bring it up to the camera. Can you see them? This potentially could go into my Japanese just because quilt, just because I like him, he goes in. Let me show you this bunny. I did point him out on the wall. So he is earmarked for the Roxy project, and my challenge is to make him less Japanese and more English rabbit. There's a challenge. There we go. Let's open him up. That's in there. He's got his feet missing. It's a bit of a shame, but that's all right. We can bury him in, you know, in the field. And this guy, look at him jumping. His toes are missing. That's a bit of a shame. That's a selvage there. Is that cut? No, there's a selvage either side. Okay, so it's a design thing. So there you go. Whether he works or not in that project, who knows? Whether I can get him to work, who knows? Or he goes to the Just Because quilt as a feature, possibly. So a bit of a challenge. It's really good shopping for a couple projects. I cannot recommend it enough. Otherwise, yeah, could potentially get out of control. Like, I'd like to think I have control. So keeping myself narrowed down with a project in mind. There's one little owl. Love the colours. Owl number 2. Look at him. Oh, I can just see that all stitched and some lace brought in, and oh, he's going to be fun. Okay, rather partial to owls and bunnies. Let's just fold that up, otherwise the girl's got a mess. I can hear my washing machine beeping at me as I catch up on all my loads of washing. So that's that. Now I'll do this next. This was all from one business except for that. That's the William Morris fabric I picked up with the little bag. I think it's gorgeous. So let me just have a look at the details. So it's a motor. Okay, so you guys may be able to track this down. The Best of Morris. So there's the label. And so made in Japan. There's the pattern number, 8176. It's a beautiful thickness. Really, really good. So I'll put that in my little William Morris collection of fabrics for a rainy day. Now these are all 50 centimetres by 110 centimetres, and yen $3.75, so around that $4.50 mark. So which is just great shopping. I picked up, this was my theory, spots. You can never go wrong with spots and stripes in a colour palette that all matches. So all I'd have to do is find a fabric to insert to build on it. So I did that with that in mind there. Japanese fabrics when in Japan. So I went with patterns that were familiar to each other. This one here, there was a blue. They didn't have a 50 centimetre piece, so I bought smaller pieces. And then you'll see further along in this next pile, I was able to get a good 1.5 meters of the fabric. So now I can consider it as a backing piece for, say, the Just Because quilt. So I got those. Then I spotted dragonflies, so I did that. Then these little flowers, which I put in that spot category. Then there was some florals. I don't think they're not William Morris Liberty, but of that nature. So you could easily slide them into Liberty. This is a Liberty print, but nowhere does it say it is, so probably not. So some florals, some little florals that look like a spot, some little dragonflies, classic Japanese print, and then something that could go with anything, not too Japanese looking in styling. Okay, so that's that little collection. Now, at the show, there was a lady that was selling textured fabric. What I mean by that is it's embroidered with something, machine embroidered, absolutely beautiful. So I went for a pale pink, a neutral, and this blue, with in mind the Gathered Things quilt. So that's how that came to be, and then that was, yeah, I think a discount if you picked up 3. So I went for this pale pink, which might end up being in there as well. Then I spotted this because I went back to the store and filmed. I have to take my coat off. Oh, getting hot. I filmed the stall for you guys and I spotted that at the back. I just thought it was beautiful for a textured embroidered piece of fabric. So also the Roxy project. So those things, I had that in mind. Now, Shibori dyeing. So at the workshop, I picked up these little pieces from the workshop itself. And it was quite amusing because when we were at the workshop, these were just a couple dollars. The next day, we were in an authentic Japanese village with lots of little gift stores, and there were tour groups sort of around us that may have come from a cruise or who knows, bus groups, and these were selling for about $13 Australian, where we were actually at the place where they were made. So I thought that was a win for a tourist. So remember, these were all knotted, so they pinch it. They bind the thread around it, then they put it into the dye, remove the thread, and they have their designs. It's so clever. So clever. I don't know what I'm going to do with these little pieces. I didn't get a lot of this style of fabric. This was it. These were at one of the general fabric stores. So that's a print of it. It's not actual, but I thought for a pale blue tone, I thought that was interesting. And this little one. These were like $1.50 or something. So for fabric from the fabric stores, that's all I bought. That came from a workshop itself. And then the workshop itself had this little pack, which I thought was a lovely little combination. And how much was it? Oh, I think it was like $8 from memory. Yeah, there's the details of the museum. So I got a selection of their work, which that belongs to. So just a little taste of that style. Now, fabric. Not sure where I got this. I think I picked it up at the show. Once again, that little floral print, which matches in with some of the other selections I made. So 30 centimetres by 36 centimetres, 4 pieces. $4, 440 yen, so about $5 for that. Just morsels. And when you're a slow stitcher, collager, like myself's technique, this is really all we need. But, you know, if you're going to do a quilt size piece, like a larger project, you sort of do need to consider a little bit more. These were from Tomato. Just love the colours. It was a change from what I've been buying all week. Pop of pink, pop of this turquoise. Just thought it was beautiful. And maybe my Roxy quilt might bring a little bit of this colour in. I don't know. So just a bit of a wild card, but suits my selection. So now we're into my biggest pile. So remember I said I could only get little pieces of this print because it had sold out at the fabric store. Roll forward a couple days and I was at Tomato and I was able to get another piece of it. So this is 1.5 meters. So I was wrapped because this is probably my favourite out of it. And that was the two sisters to it. So even just that together, oh, beautiful. Well, I think so. So that was the theory there. Lots of little dragonflies. And when I was watching him cut it, look at this. There's this piece of fabric across the bottom with nothing printed on it. I thought, what a bonus. I can sneak that piece off of there. So little dragonflies, little bunnies, and I did 0.5 meter of these. It was just so reasonably priced. So 0.5 meter was nearly the price of some of the smaller packs. This one, once again, lovely little piece of blue down the bottom here. It's looking a lot more royal in my picture. See over here where it's darker? That's true to colour. Over here where it's brighter, that's the light coming from my door, overexposing it a little in brightness. So that's, yeah, that's true to colour now that you're looking at. A small print. I'll come back to that. Classic print, just love it for a background. So I think I got 2 meters of this. This here was actually part of Dawn's armful of fabrics, and she was getting her pieces cut next to me. And I just thought she'd put together such a beautiful range of fabrics. I think she had about 3 or 4, bolts in her arm, and it was all based on this printed panel. Isn't it pretty? So if you look over here on the side, that's closer to the colour tone than over here. And I think Dawn was thinking of having it stitched because she was sharing it with a friend. I think I got that all right. And the girls were thinking red thread. I just thought it was beautiful and was not on my radar, so I allowed that one to sneak in. And then she had lots of fabrics to suit that. And this one here was the one I said, oh, pass that bolt of fabric over when you're done. I think I picked up a fabric at Gail's Patchwork Emporium from this colour palette, and Dawn was beside me again. But what I loved about this piece is, look at that. So it's like getting 2 pieces of fabric for the price of 1. Let me just pause the video. I want to find that other piece of fabric that I got in Ballarat, and I'll put these together in my stash so that when I am looking for a project to do, it's all together. Just one moment. Okay, I'm back. This is the piece. So I picked this little guy up, made in Japan. I saw similar versions of it when I was in Ballarat. And like I said, Dawn was beside me putting together her selection, and I just thought it was beautiful. We were actually talking about it, that the flowers and the leaves are a great design for stitching something in the style of Fleur Woods. When you're looking for outlines on fabrics, that just at least gives you some nice shapes to work with. And that's what we were sort of chatting about. So I actually bought it with that in mind, that if I want to do some stitching, There's some great little shapes in here, and you could then turn it into pinks and yellows and whatever you want. But it is looking gorgeous with this too. Isn't it amazing how versatile fabric can be? Okay, now we're down the Liberty Floral category, once again with the Roxy Creations project in mind. Some blues. I know I own those already, but they're in Tana Lawn. So I was rapt to find it in cotton. So they'll be good to have, you know, just that little bit more body. This fabric here, it feels like a Tana Lawn, but it's sort of a little bit heavier. And I thought maybe that could be my backing fabric for my piece. So I was pleased to see that. The turquoise. Now, this here, oh, just beautiful. Love those colours. I could just, I'd love to do a Just Because quilt in this palette, like China, willow painting, ginger jars, all of that whole category. So I ended up buying 1.5 meters of this, as in for a backing fabric, and then 0.5 meter of its little sister, which is the smaller print. I think Dawn got a little piece of this as well. It's so pretty. This I saw in one of their fabric discount stores the night before, and I had it in mind for a backing fabric, but I sort of forgot about it. Roll forward a couple of days and I spotted it again. So this time I only bought a little piece of it because I preferred this one. So it was obviously meant to be. So this one is just a little piece. And I'm thinking too, this could work in with my gathered pieces quilt, because we want fine, soft embroidery, not heavily stitched like my Still Life project. I want to, you know, tone it down a bit. These could be lovely little pieces to insert throughout, you know, if I cut all those out, just to, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Finer detail, but still full on, I'm sure. What else have I got now? Oh, some bags and pouches. Let me just put that to one side. I made in a workshop out of some woven gorgeous fabrics that little brooch, and then one of the tour guide assistants, she had made a heap as well, so we got to pick a button as a little parting gift, so I chose that little one. Just beautiful. So they will be treasured. Now let me just bring this pile over. This is the last pile. Here you come. All right. Combination of oddities here. Right. So at the gift fair was this gorgeous lady. Oh, she probably was 120 not out. She was an older lady, and she was the dearest thing. She spoke very good English, so obviously surrounded with family that know English well. And the old boy was there as well, and she had a stand of random fabrics, but over on the one side in a little basket was some of her hand-created creations. I just fell in love with this little frog. I fell in love with her, actually. She was so sweet, and she was just so honoured that I picked them up and wanted to buy two. She was just, it might have been oh, no one's going to buy these, but I love them. You know, that feeling you get. But yeah, beautiful. And every one of the girls that I run into, I was like, go over to that stand, have a look in that bucket. She's got critters that she's made. So Froggy had to come home with me. He's so random. So Gaz's face was pretty funny when I showed him the frog. So for those of you out there that have a husband sitting beside you on the couch watching this video, I'm sure they've got that same face. So Froggy came home. And what do you think this is? It's a cat holding a fish, of course. Isn't it gorgeous? So I'd love to try these in a future video where I try and, I guess, look, there's a little heart there. I think of an animal, but be very whimsical about it. Yeah, it's just random and gorgeous. I love them. Okay, now, remember I pointed to a cat with a duck on the wall? This is him. I have visions of this guy being on a jacket or a shirt. I was thinking of you, Kate, when I saw these. Just that feature piece. And then there was Pussycat. When these came out of the box to go on the stand, and he was selling badges and, you know, flags of this style, hundreds of them, and then he had this handful of these came out. It was like a frenzy. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're going crazy over them. What's happening? And I looked over and saw these two, and the frenzy broke for a moment, reached in, grabbed one of each, and then the frenzy went on again, and they were gone. As quick as look at you, they were gone. About $14 Australian. I just love them. Very cool. And then when the frenzy sort of dissipated, I walked the stall and found this guy. Oh my goodness. I have a linen jacket that I want to stitch into. Remember the pink jacket that I put the bunnies on the back? Well, my local Howard Patchwork Emporium, they had a linen jacket very similar, and I picked it up probably about a month ago with the intention to stitch into it, and it's these tones, and bunny is going on that jacket. So I've got another jacket video series that I'll do later in the year where we get that and the bunny and we go for it. Oh, beautiful. And the fact that the blues are there, we're colour palette, we're ready. Oh, love him. Okay, this was a little gift from one of the hostesses. I've got my box of zipper charms here, so I can pop that in there. So if I do a little pouch in those colour tones, I've got a little zipper box charm. Okay, I'll go through those in a minute. So the lady that sold this, when I went back a third time, just wandering the aisles because I was waiting for Dawn and Margaret to finish their shopping, I went back to this store and I noticed behind her she had made some little pouches, and I just thought they were adorable. And I think the most I paid was $10 for the big one, about $6 for the small. Look at them. Just gorgeous. I think I even have some of those little buttons. I was using them in the 90s. All machine stitched, but even so, the effort to make and line. So I'll tell you what I'm thinking with these. This little one matches that. So that's a little set. So you're wondering why all these zipper pouches are here. This is my idea when I get there. So that one. This one is a little pouch that puffs up quite large, but when laid down it's quite flat. So there's that one. Look at these, look at these. See, once again, textured fabric made into a gorgeous little pouch. Isn't that just adorable? Little clip. So I've got that one and that one. And then look at that. She's stitched and woven on the side. Oh, and a couple dollars. Oh my goodness, to die for. All right. And then this little one. Now these three were in those classic tourist shops, you know, just touristy treasures. We were waiting for the group to meet us at the end of the mall, and there was that classic tourist shop. So I just went for a little look and I spotted this. And I love how it folds up and opens up. Now, if I recall, Tia made something similar on her channel, Calm Creations, where it's an origami inspired paper folding technique applied to fabric. And she's created a little spot for all of her scrap orts and things like that. So I was thinking of you, Tia, when I spotted that little guy. And there's the little pouch. So these are mass produced. They're not hand produced like these. So there's that little combination. Then I got these two. So these are the brightest Japanese fabrics that I have purchased. And I was not going with the intentions of buying this style of fabric. It was everywhere because I thought the chances of me using it, very, very limited. But I saw these two because I had in mind some fabric that I do already have. I might pause the video and show you. Won't be a moment. Okay, so Japanese fabric that is brightly coloured. This is what I own in my collection so far, and it's probably as far as I would go. This piece I bought, I think, back when COVID was on and we're all housebound, and I was missing the idea that I was not going to Japan on my Canard cruise because it got cancelled, and I'd bought this fabric to maybe do a project with. I was spur of the moment. I loved the fruit within it. So I sort of haven't done anything with it. It's been sitting in my cupboard. Dragonflies. Love the palette. So roll forward a couple more years and I'm at a retreat of Susanna's, and Gail from Patchwork Emporium in Ballarat kindly put together a goodies bag. Now these are samples of fabrics that she has got from a wholesaler with the intention of her, potentially ordering them. So in our goodies bag was this, which is great size for morsels. So if we want to talk about Japanese fabrics in bright colours, this is the extent of my collection to date. As you can see, I'm more into those blues and, softer colours. So with that in the back of my mind, my little Japanese collection of brights, these two come into my head. And I'll explain the project in a minute so you can sort of see where I'm heading. And then I spotted him and I'm thinking, oh, great, you're going to fit with my colour palette that, I would normally tend towards. And I like the fact there's still that little pop of the red there. So just grabbing some more fabric from beside me. So it all sort of combinations. See those little flowers, those little flowers. Anyway, you get the general gist. So you're thinking, why has she got lots of little pouches? Well, you know what dawned on me? Our horsewhif. So the horsewhif, which can either roll up or be fastened together with a button or whatever, had lots of little components in it. And the horsewhif that I made, I didn't go to the extent of little pouches, so I wouldn't mind revisiting a horsewhif potentially that has a zipper, somewhere for the orts, and then maybe I'll add a pin cushion. So there's a colour palette ready to go. Same with this. That into a horsewhif. These little ones, mini little horsewhifs. I just went pouch crazy. And to have some handmade ones, some touristy ones that blend with these fabrics that I have very little of, I thought, well, at least I'm going to use them, especially this. What would I ever do with that? But that's the start of something. Right, look at that piece. And where's those two roughies up here? These have potential with this. So there you go. That's my creative thought process on why I purchased little itty bitty pouches. All right. This was a bag at one of the museums that we went to that show techniques within that village of the Shibori dyeing, and I think it was $10 Australian, maybe 20. Don't quote me on that. No, I think it was $10 because I remember one of the girls going, they're only $10. We couldn't make it for that. It's got side pockets, little pocket. I actually prefer this than my calico, my bag that I actually did in the workshop. I think just this is more useful to have those pockets to put things in. So I plan on embellishing it, stitching it one day. So there you go. There's my scarf that I did in that dyeing workshop. Really happy with it. Just so pretty. And of course the fabric that I picked up at the weaving workshop. They were $10 roughly. And then we went to the touristy area where they had all the gift shops, and these same pieces were like triple the price. And they were packaged exactly the same. So I'm guessing they came from the workshop space that we were in. This is the white one that I want to do something for my Christmas. Oh, love it. Just love it. So stay tuned for Christmas videos in the future. So gorgeous. Have to put that somewhere safe. And this one. Oh, just as a placemat. So pretty. So that's it, guys. That is it. So now I can, oops, that didn't work real well, did it? So now I'm going to have to rinse that. So now I can put my treasures away safely. Look at that. Oh, goodness. Silk. It's beautiful. All right. Someone's at the door. So I'm going to chuff off. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all your kind comments as I traipse myself around Japan. I had the best time. I only showed you probably a third of what we did. It was just, there was so much going on. So thoroughly enjoyed it. The best thing. Highly recommend Patchwork Ninja as a tour group. They were accommodating, they were caring, they were flexible. And if they found that the group was interested in a particular thing, we would adjust to suit that. Like, you know, so you get on some of these tours, especially some I've been on in the past, it is very regimental and you just boom, boom, boom as you work through the list. These guys, Di, you're doing a wonderful job. He's only new to his tours and he's done a few, but is growing into the industry and he's on a winner. If you are considering a textile tour of Japan, I can highly recommend Patchwork Ninja. Di will look after you. And his ladies on the ground in Japan, the 4 girls, oh, they're just adorable. Lovely. All right, guys, look after yourselves and I'll catch you in the next video. Actually, I must say there probably won't be a video for a couple of weeks from me. I'm about to get really busy with my retreat, so there'll probably be a retreat video. That'll be about it. I've got to not pick up any projects and get myself focused on getting ready for the retreat. So stay focused, Corrine. Stay focused. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Bye. Okay, I'm back. So as I was packing everything away, I've forgotten to show you my zipper pull charms. So in previous videos, I've gone rummaging through here for little charms that embellish work. So I picked up locally like little sewing machines that are brooches. I haven't used a lot of them. I sort of, I don't know, a little bit hoarding them. Don't want to use them, which is silly. And I selected something for my tribute to mum and dad pouch. It was the dragonfly. So that was the first one I'd actually, used. And I've picked up buttons in travels. These I got from the gorgeous Diane, who does those twisted, beaded fabric beads. I don't even know what you call them. So little things that have been given to me are just sort of finding their way to this old vintage tin. So with that in mind, while I was waiting for Dawn and Margaret to come along, there was a chap there that had trays and trays and trays of zipper pull charms. So I went a little bit crazy. They were really reasonably priced. Some of them were a little bit more than others. So I bought some and I thought, you know what, now I'm not going to feel so precious and I'm going to dive into that bag and make a selection. So little pouches will now have a little zipper charm put on them because I feel like I've got a few and won't need any more ever. So I'm going to put them in here and look at that. That was one I got from Beck. Beck sells zipper charms, so if you are chasing some, check out Beck's website, So Be Curated. She has a lovely range of little zipper charms. So that little crab would have come from Beck and the sausage dog. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. I'm sure there is a crab in there. So this one, he wasn't a cheapie because of size, but that's our... the white rabbit. Sometimes these can give you an idea for a project. So that little zipper charm, I could make something that is based on the Alice in Wonderland theme. So that's sort of why I picked him up. Look at Miss Bunny. So this is the very end of the video. So if you're not interested in looking at all these charms, I will not be insulted if you want to chuff off and start your day. So we've got a fish with a tiny cat sitting on his head. So quirky. Another little bunny. That's probably that kid's bunny that's in all those books. I'm not up to date with all that anymore. I've lost touch with a lot of that. Oh, there's my crab. See the same crab? He is. Very cool. See, I just think that's so quirky. That's why I was attracted to it at on Sobeys, on Beck's site. Foxy Loxy, showing his little tush. Oh, they're just cute. I had so much fun. If Dawn had have appeared within minutes of me arriving there, I wouldn't have bought as much as I did. It was so good when she turned up because I thought, please get me away from this. It was like picking lollies. Crazy. I think I spent probably $50 Australian all up. So, yeah, went a little overboard. Gorgeous little bird. A little duck in a jacket. Look at the strawberry. Isn't it gorgeous? I've got two of that bunny, have I? I've already put Bunny in there. Yeah, there you go. I was attracted to her twice. A little butterfly. Oh, there's a skull in there. Oh, I don't know about that. Look. There's a... Oh, not a fan of that. A little pussycat. This was part of the Alice in Wonderland. Little pussycat in a handbag with the ace on there. Look at that. Imagine a little pouch, a pencil case for a little boy, and you put a little car on it. Oh. Pussycat sitting in a ring of flowers. A corgi in a car. And I tell you, I literally only grabbed a portion of what was there. It was, picture 3 or 4 trestle tables with little squares, timber boxes this big in trays, like those printing trays where you put bits in them. They use them for display on walls. There was thousands of them. A little parrot. It's getting quite random, isn't it? Little sewing machine. Another sewing machine, 2 of those. Here's another sewing machine. Nice apricot colours. Went overboard, didn't I? Very much so. Bicycle. I know a lady, my best mate's sister, she and her husband travel everywhere on bicycles whenever they go overseas. They do a lot of cycling tours. And as soon as I saw that, I thought of Bernadette, and I thought, oh, I could make her a little pouch with a bicycle zipper charm. She'd love that. Little bee. There's crab. Look at the cherries. Oh my goodness. I've got a thing for cherries. I've got these 2 ornaments that are huge, big cherries with silver stem and leaves. They're just beautiful. The place I bought them from, I used to buy Christmas decorations that were made in Nepal and India that were all like a metal, and it was to support the communities, and it'd just be beautiful. And the company that brings it into Australia, they also had bowls and vases and random things and, you know, pasta spoons, and I'm getting so sidetracked. But anyway, they had these decorative cherries that you just sit on a bench with, and they look just like this, except that metal is silver. So as soon as I saw them, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of my cherries. Very cool. A cow. My farming background coming out in me. Black pussycat. Oh, look at this. A little turquoise poodle. Oh my goodness, isn't this just crazy? Look at the duck. A dancing duck. You've got to have a dancing duck. How can you walk away from that? A blue pussycat with pink ears. This is ludicrous. Gosh, I feel like a kid. Little mouse holding a little diamante flower. Oh, a tiny white rabbit with a red bow tie. You could not write this. A black cat with a red and white towel wrapped around his waist. Bambi. You've got to have Bambi. A giraffe. Wouldn't a giraffe make a great whimsical toy? That'd be fun. Just an idea popped into my brain. A little anchor, little black gold anchor. Another poodle. I must have been in the poodle section. He did have it loosely sectioned, so it was good. Like when I hit the boats area, I thought, well, I don't need a boat. So I was able to go to the next tray, efficiently shop his store because it was sorted. Look at these. Oh, nothing like a little rubber ducky. And there's another one. Are they the same? Yep. A carnation or flower in general. A little black cat with the little red heart on his tail. A little purse, and last of all, a hedgehog. Oh my goodness, I tell you. So there you go. So now when I make something, I can dive in there, make a choice with confidence because I've got more zipper charms than I need in my lifetime that I'll ever use. Having said that, when you're making gifts for people and they cycle around Europe, I know that I have a bicycle in there. I know a friend that has a poodle. I know a lady that her husband is mad keen on crabs. She loves eating them. He loves catching them. So, you know, the more you think about it, the more you think, you know, I know someone that would be perfect for. So maybe that's the way to do it. I look in here for the charm, then I go to the fabric from this colour palette. Something to think about. I can justify it very easily, can't I? All right. I think that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Say goodbye, and I'll get this video loaded up for you guys to view. Have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.